Welcome to the Everyday Comfort Podcast, where we help homeowners make smart decisions and save money, and guide contractors on building trust, growing their business, and delivering real value. Let's dive into the show.
Hey, I'm Anthony Mound, and this is Everyday Comfort, real-world guidance for homeowners and home service pros to help you make smarter decisions, avoid expensive problems, and stay comfortable year-round. Today's episode is sponsored by Trust One, your local plumbing and HVAC team in Quincy, Massachusetts. Our mission is simple. We help people win. Company wins, the employee wins, and the customer wins. This means clear communication, quality work, and a customer experience built on trust from start to finish. Learn more at trustoneservices.com. I have Chad here of Rise 25, who's done thousands of interviews with successful entrepreneurs and CEOs, and we have flipped the script, and he'll be interviewing me today. Hey, Chad, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much, Anthony. Great to talk to you, as always. I thought today we'd talk about maybe how to keep customers or people looking for contractors like plumbers or HVAC people or whatever, how customers can vet them and avoid getting burned.
Absolutely.
What would you say are maybe some top red flags that should make a homeowner immediately walk away from a contractor, regardless of the price?
Yeah, I think some other things too is like people being in uniform, being on time. And like one thing that we've seen recently is like a lot of contractors are forcing like one specific thing on the customer. Like, a customer's like, oh yeah, I don't want a heat pump. And they're like, you need a heat pump. And they keep pushing heat pumps or something specific on that customer. And they're very adamant about heat pumps versus like actually finding out what the customer needs and wants and then providing solutions for that. Like Mrs. Jones, who's an 80-year-old woman, doesn't need a heat pump. Like, she's comfortable with whatever you provide to her that actually solves her problem and gets her heat and AC, right? So, really listening to customers and being honest with them versus like pushing them towards something just because you want to sell it.
Is there a way or like a customer like radar, how a customer can improve their radar for this person is trying to help me rather than this person is trying to, make a sale?
Yeah, tons of research. Like, it's kind of a hard thing. I was on the phone with someone or a customer earlier, and she was getting quotes for heat pumps. And I was like, well, what's the whole motivation for wanting to go to a heat pump? And she's like, well, I want the rebate and I want to save energy. I have solar panels on my roof. And she was saying she had a quote from a contractor who didn't mention her electrical panel needed to be upgraded to actually accommodate the new heat pump because her whole panel was full. And then they didn't mention that they had to run an electrical power feed to the attic. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, and she was like, well, why wouldn't they mention it? And I'm like, well, there's a few reasons. Maybe they would install the heat pump and then you would have had an issue of it not working properly because it didn't have a heat strip installed, or, maybe they were just scared to tell you the honest truth. I'm not sure what that was. I can't really tell, but like, those are just examples of things of just making sure that the person you have knows what they're talking about and just some real industry experience, because there's companies out there that don't have tons of experience. There's companies that are ran by investment banks or people who've never been in the industry. So me being the owner of Trust One, all of my team members, I make sure that they're trained on products specifically, and if they don't have the answers, they can get the answers very easily.
Yeah, you guys have at Trust One, you have the core values of honesty and transparency. Would you say that that's common, rare, or somewhere in between in the trades industry?
I feel like it's a mix. I do believe there's a lot of good contractors out there that are honest and transparent. I have a lot of friends in this industry that are honest and transparent, or else I wouldn't be friends with them. That's just because that's who I am, and that's what we entice everyone to be in our company. So yeah, I do believe there's contractors that aren't as honest and transparent, and you can kind of feel it. It's like, I don't know, even dogs can know. Like if a dog meets someone and they're not like friendly with that person, you're like, oh, really? Like, what is this person hiding? Like what do they got going on? So it's like instinct.
Do you think like overpromising and under-delivering is potentially common?
Yeah, I mean, so you got salespeople, like
Yeah.
that's like happens all the time, no matter what, right? So like, I mean, to be honest with you, it's happened to us before, and I'm just gonna be human with it. Like we've overpromised before and underdelivered, but I would rather like underpromise and overdeliver than vice versa, right? So setting expectations and being honest is important. So yeah, I do think, when it comes to, salespeople just trying to sell things, I do believe that the expectations aren't there sometimes, and it can happen.
Sometimes a homeowner might need a job done and will solicit multiple quotes for the same job, and maybe one is particularly low compared to the other one or the other ones. What's usually going on in that case?
There's a couple of different things that could happen. One, like there's a bunch of variables that go into this, right? Because one is the size of the company. Is it a smaller company that doesn't have a bunch of overhead? Like that's not a bad thing. I'm not knocking that, but is it one guy in a truck? And then also like what are the warranties? What are the guarantees? What are they offering in the equipment? So you have a differentiation between the size of the company and what solutions being provided, as well as warranties and extended add-ons, because that quote might not account for things that the customer actually needed. So making sure that you're looking at the quotes and it's really apples to apples, and that like just talking to the contractor and understanding what the full scope of work is. What I always say is if they're not talking about it, they're probably not doing it. So, we always like to make sure our team is talking about the things that we're doing. Even if the quote doesn't say it, like it's so hard, all the things that we do is not all encapsulated on a quote, or it might be 5 pages long, and the customer just gets overwhelmed with information. So we try to depict all that information in the visit when we come out, and then our quotes, it really has the core things on there, that the most important things. But so many things we do behind the scenes that account for the pricing, just because we want to do it the right way. And so traditionally, there's really two things. One, the scope of work, it's not the same as the scope of work of the company that it's a higher price. Or two, it's a really small company and they just have lower pricing and less overhead. And that's really kind of what you're looking for. You want support, or do you want just a quick, cheap job? And that small guy might do a great job. You never know. It's just like, what are you looking for extended support?
Sure. So there are potential reasons, I guess, between the two scenarios that you talked to where it wouldn't necessarily have to be a deal breaker, but you want to be cautious.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
What licenses and certifications should a homeowner verify before hiring a plumber or HVAC technician, especially in Massachusetts where you're located?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the jobs do require permits. So if the contractor is able to pull that permit, making sure that the license is actually under the company. So Massachusetts is very strict when it comes to plumbing. So like, boilers or water heaters or tankless water heaters or furnaces, things of that nature, anything that's like a gas burning appliance or anything related to plumbing, is required to have a plumbing license. Some HVAC contractors don't have a plumbing license. So when it comes to them doing like furnaces or boilers, they might not have a plumbing license. They might be using someone else's.
Mm.
So those are things to look at to make sure that like if you're verifying a plumbing license, that it's actually with the company, not using someone else's, because you might be just hiring an HVAC guy that's borrowing someone's plumbing license. That's one thing to look for. And then an EPA is a refrigerant recovery license that you need to install HVAC equipment. And then also sheet metal if you're doing sheet metal.
Where can a homeowner in Massachusetts go to verify that a license is active and in good standing?
Oh, you can look it right up online. You can
Hmm.
literally go to Mass License Lookup and you can type in the number and it'll tell you if it's active or not right online. Very easy to find.
Okay, very nice. Um, how important is it that a contractor carries both liability insurance and workers' comp? And should a homeowner verify that that coverage is current and not just claimed?
Yeah, and there's also a few other things to go with that too.
Mhm.
There's a special type of liability insurance you should have, a subcontractor liability insurance. So this is something that people actually overlook. So say I go to your house and I'm installing an air conditioner, and then I need to hire an electrician to come in and run electrical power. If something happens where that electrician ruins something in your house, if you don't, as a contractor who hired that person, have insurance to cover that person, then you can like the homeowner's kind of on the hook for that. So not only having liability insurance to cover your work that you did, but also having insurance to cover any subcontractors that might work alongside you. And then
Oh,
there's also another caveat to that too, is having an umbrella insurance that actually covers all of it, that protects the company. So having additional insurance that actually protects everything else. So if that claim were over $1 million or over $2 million, we're in some really expensive houses and some really expensive condos, that something catastrophic were to happen, that there's actually added protection to cover those things. So it's not just about having liability insurance, it's about having the other aspects of liability insurance to cover different facets.
So I know
And
online reviews are everywhere now. There's Google, Yelp, I think Angie, something called
yeah,
Thumbtack. How much
yeah.
weight should a homeowner give to online reviews, and how do you spot fake or manipulated ones?
So I'll be the first one to say, go look at our reviews, like check out our reviews. But like another factor too, it's not just online reviews. I mean, like you got to also look at the quantity of reviews because like we have a ton of reviews based on the time that we've been in business. And yeah, we do have some bad ones. Like we're not perfect. We make mistakes, right? Like, and I would hate someone to hold it against us for the bad ones. Like if we have 20,000 customers and let's say 1,800 of them or 2,000 of them wrote reviews and only 20 of them wrote bad reviews, like that's a really good track record, really, if you've been to 20,000 customers, so the track record, it's really substantial based on the amount of customers you served, that's one thing. But also the second thing to check is like verify with your friends.
Mm.
Check your friends. Who did they use? Did they have a good experience? Ask around. Hey, you heard of this company? Have they done work for you? Check out the community. Check out the website. Check what they're doing as a company. Um, if you see one of their employees, ask like how they like their company. There's so many different factors you could see if someone if a company is a good company, not just what it says online.
Are there review platforms that you would trust more than others? Among those, Google, Yelp, Angie.
Um, if I was in the West Coast, Yelp, but East Coast, no, not for Yelp.
Hmm.
But yeah, all those platforms. I mean, Angie's pretty trusted source. Like, they make sure that contractors have the right insurance and the right licensing and everything before you even contact or fill out a form. So Angie's a reliable source. Google's definitely a reliable source. They've gotten a lot. Google has gotten a lot more picky with their reviews. Like they removed like 25 of our 5-star reviews for like no reason. And I'm like, oh, this is weird. Like I can show you records of the real customers' names that we've done work for that left those reviews, honestly.
Hmm.
So, so Google's being very strict when it comes to reviews. Like, you can't solicit them. You can't, put your name in them. Like you can't ask someone to put your name in them. So they're getting a lot more, they're cracking down on that. So Google's definitely a trustworthy source. So
What are your thoughts on, or what's your advice maybe for a homeowner who is maybe potentially going to work with a contractor and that contractor asks for a large upfront deposit before starting work? Is that ever standard practice, or should that be a warning sign or somewhere in between?
so like legal law, you can like only in Massachusetts at least like legally ask up to like 30%.
Okay.
So we ask anywhere between 10 to 30%, but our a lot of our customers choose financing, so they really don't have to put anything down
Hmm.
as long as the paperwork signed and everything. So that's where it's like, yeah, I mean, it all depends. Like you have to read the scenario. But if it's like someone's like, hey, I want 80% up front, I'm like, no, that's crazy. So 10 to 30% is a good rule. Um, and you should make sure that you have a signed contract, make sure you understand and the scope of work is verified and that you've checked all the credentials and everything like that.
How should a homeowner handle a situation where a contractor starts a job and then discovers additional problems that weren't in the original quote?
So that's a tough one too. At Trust One, we have a guarantee, a no change order guarantee. So if a customer signs a quote and we find anything that has to be changed during the install, we actually eat it as a company.
Hmm.
So it's the price you see is the price that's guaranteed.
Hmm.
Um, so obviously, like, we'll make sure that it's clear that if like lines are leaking or something like that, like that's a problem. But um, yeah, I'm sure contractors might do that. I don't think it's ethical. I think you just be honest up front what is needed and just do the right thing so you're not like looking like if you're a professional and you know what you're doing, you should know that the scope of work is what the scope of work is. Like you
Hmm.
shouldn't so you should just be honest. Like if you've done it long enough to honest, like to be able to tell them, hey, this is the worst case scenario. here's an option to do all of this and fix everything so there's no issues. And then here's this solution, and they can let the customer pick what they want to do. But at least they know if they don't do everything.
From your experience or observation, or maybe conversations that you've had with customers, are there specific types of jobs, like whether it's drain work or boiler replacements or something, where a homeowner is particularly vulnerable to being overcharged or misled?
Yeah, I've seen like heat pumps are a big one, to be honest. Like because it's like one of those things you don't really the specific info you don't like the heat strip we talked about earlier in the episode.
Hmm.
Like when someone has a heat pump, yeah, you can install a heat pump, but if you don't put in a heat strip, that heat pump might not work and get to the temperature you want it to. So it's like, looking at that and seeing, hey, is the heat strip included on that heat pump? Because that's like $2,000 to $2,500 difference. So you see one contractor, hey, I'm offering this heat pump, and then you have one contractor that's offering another heat pump but has the heat strip included. Like that's $2,500 extra. You're gonna go, whoa, that's $2,500 extra. This quote looks the same. So making sure things are line itemed. So yeah, and like where the advantage, like taking advantage of people comes in is like in the middle of winter when they have like no heat and it's not really you're under a time crunch, you're freezing and the thing needs to get done. Or the summertime when it's like you're in Colorado sweating, like
Hmm.
like if your air conditioner broke right now, you'd probably want someone in there pretty
Hmm.
quickly.
Hmm.
So
So let's say a contractor recommends a major repair, like, a full system replacement, something like that, and the homeowner um, decides that he or she might want to get a second opinion. Is that ever awkward, or how do you handle that when a customer asks?
if we go out to like the context of like if we go out to someone's house and they're like, hey, I want a second opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, we encourage it. It's
Oh.
totally fine. Like we're not gonna, be mad at you for doing that. Like what we hope is all the information that you got from us, the contractor just solidifies what we said,
Hmm.
which is probably going to be true because we're just honest about what we do. So we lay out both things on the table, like, hey, if you want to keep repairing this thing, we'll do it, but it might not make sense. But if you like, we'll tell you if you should repair or replace the system. Some companies out there are just like, you need to replace it, and they're just slamming new systems down people's throats. But for us, we're willing to repair systems. Even we'll let you know it might not make sense, but we'll do it. But it's all totally at your discretion.
Are there times of the year? I know, like I lived in this small town in Nebraska once. We got this massive hailstorm, and then every car repair guy who could undent your car would come out, and some of them were pretty shady. Are there like times of the year in terms of home maintenance where shady contractors are more likely to take advantage of homeowners who are desperate for a fix?
I've never been asked that question before. Huh. Times a year? No, I think if they're gonna do it, they're gonna do it all
Yeah,
the time.
yeah.
Like, uh, yeah, people don't really hide their stripes well. So,
What? A last question for you.
yeah.
So, based on everything that we've talked about, what does truly professional service look like from start to finish in terms of a call from a contractor? What should homeowners expect in terms of communication, punctuality, cleanliness, and documentation?
Yeah, my whole thing is like, I'm very passionate about what I do and my team is too. So, we work really hard to try to, earn trust from customers or potential customers. So we work really hard to do that. So like we try to be really responsive and answer customers' questions. Like I was on the phone with a customer earlier for an hour and 11 minutes. I never met her ever. And I was literally going over all of her different options. Um, and so, things like that, like being overly responsive, usually like if someone's overly responsive, they're probably going to be overly responsive, like when it comes to doing the install.
Mm.
Like if we're working this hard to try to earn your business, imagine what we can do to when we do the installation or do the repair, so if someone's like not answering you or getting back to you days later or being vague on like the answers, those are the kind of warning signs that like, I always laugh. This is one joke I always make is like, wait, so they're taking days to get out to you. So you're offering your money to this contractor saying, hey, I want to buy something from you and they're taking a long time to come out here. It's like you're offering to give your money to someone and they're not willing to take it. You know, like what happens if there's a warranty issue? Like, are they gonna be like they're taking a week to come out now to take it? Like you're offering to give your money to them, and then like what happens if they have to come back and fix the unit? It's gonna be 2 weeks, you know. So those are just like signs that I look for.
Sure. Hey, always good stuff, Anthony. Great to talk to you. Thanks so much for having me today.
Awesome. Thanks.
So long, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Everyday Comfort Podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.